On Kochie's Business Builders, taking the plunge overseas, the best way to navigate new market opportunities. Plus, taking carb loading to a whole new level. How one man's dream of opening a single burger bar led to much bigger things. And what's the best advice you've ever received? Some savvy business owners share their tips. Hello and welcome to Kochie's Business Builders. Can you believe we've been going for 12 years? We've spent the past 6 weeks of this new series taking 6 bricks and mortar retailers through an intensive course to get them online. They're now safe from digital demise. It's been a whirlwind experience, but now we're back and it's time to focus on another small business issue: expanding overseas. Manley Spirits is a distillery in Sydney, creating its own unique range of gins, vodkas and whiskies. They've recently started selling in the UK, but the founders are on a much greater mission: to take their products to the world. 7 miles from Sydney and 1,000 miles from care. That's been the tourism slogan for Manly since the 1920s. But this coastal strip is home for husband and wife team Vanessa Wilton and David Whitaker, the co-founders of Manley Spirits.
We named ourselves Manley Spirits to associate ourselves with what it means to live in a coastal beach of Sydney in the Northern Beaches.
Vanessa and David started the business 3 years ago and recently expanded to the United Kingdom. They want to keep the momentum, so we've called in international business strategist Cynthia Dearin to help.
You recently entered the UK. How did you go about entering the market and how did you find it?
Yeah, it's really fresh. Vanessa and I are off the plane a couple of weeks ago, so we had our launch in January over there. Deciding to choose a market is tricky. We've chosen the UK to launch really quite early in our genesis because we've been going a little under 2 years right now, so it's quite early to launch. We chose it because we get a lot of Brits through our distillery, which you're looking at here. So it's our market research. The Brits love gin. It's the home of gin. So we're launching in a very favourable market. Politically, they're very similar to us. We had a look at the US. Everyone wants to launch in the US. Sounds wonderful. But when you look at it closely, and we did our own research on this, and we talked to a lot of our colleagues who've done it or tried to do it before, it's like entering 50 separate countries. They've each got their own tax laws, particularly out of prohibition. We're an alcohol business. There's a lot of strange laws that have come about due to that, so it's quite complex. In your experience, what countries do you think Manley Spirits would be popular in?
You know, that's a really interesting question. What springs to mind for me is that you probably want to look at 2 things here. You want to look at countries that like spirits already, so where people are already tending to drink spirits. And because your product is all about brand recognition and there's that very strong link between Manly Beach and the product itself, I think a great place to start might be countries which really recognise Australia and have a fondness for Australia and are very excited about Australia. So, you know, there are a few. France is one that springs to mind for me because French people love Australia and lots of them want to come here. They also like spirits, so that might be somewhere that you want to target. But, you know, there are lots of other places and it's really just about working out, okay, well, what cultures like Australia and feel well disposed towards it and what cultures really like spirits. And I think when you can match those 2 things up, that's going to give you a good indicator of where you should think about. How have you found Manley Spirits as being received in the UK?
Great so far. As I was talking about, they know the place. We've also got a lot of British connections. Our distiller, Tim Stone, is an Englishman. He used to work for a major gin company in the UK, so he's got loads of connections. I don't tell many people, but I was actually born in London. I was 3 when I came out here, so we've got a lot of friends and family over there. So that helps you get a good start by having those connections, gets your foot in the door in various places. But our general country relationship helps a lot too. There aren't too many Australian gins over there. There are a few that are paving the way, which is fantastic.
Coming up, we ask Cynthia what else businesses should consider when entering new markets. In 2019, Australian small businesses continue to prosper, with more than 2.2 million of them accounting for half of the nation's workforce. But According to a recent Deloitte report, there are 3 things small businesses need to keep an eye on in order to prosper. The first is well-being. That's because 58% of small business owners expect to miss out on sleep due to work demands. 63% say they won't get a chance to relax during busy holiday periods, and 58% will forego spending time with family and friends. Cash flow is also an ongoing concern for most small businesses, with 30% admitting to sacrificing their own income to pay staff. Most are also putting in extra hours chasing invoices. Small businesses should also focus on capturing data in 2019 so they can start using it to improve the business. No matter what size or industry you operate in, data is rapidly becoming a high-value resource.
Paul Myson from Kobe Jones here, and I love small business.
You're watching Kochie's Business Builders. Today we're finding out the best tips and tricks to navigate new market opportunities overseas. There's a lot to consider, and each country does business differently, as a start-up distillery in Sydney is finding out. This is the headquarters of Manley Spirits, a distillery serving up gins, vodkas and whiskies to Australia, the UK and potentially beyond.
What research did you do, or what professional advice did you seek before you decided to go to the UK?
We did our own research mainly. Part of that was Vanessa and myself travelling around the world as part of putting together the business plan for Manley Spirits. A lot of our research came one-on-one with all the people we have flooding through this distillery, because we open it up. This is our branding. It's like a cellar door at a winery, if you like. But it gives us the opportunity to talk to lots of people. Lots of tourists come through here. So we talk to lots of Americans, Brits, Europeans, etc. And we can gauge ourselves the engagement we're going to get in those different countries. It quickly became apparent that the UK would be attractive. We have a lovely relationship with Britain, Australian Britain, so we can work off that. We are coastal, marine, lifestyle. We like, if you look at it home and away, what that's done with the Brits. So many Brits come through Manley, specifically Manley actually. We can use that knowledge of us really well in the UK. We've got great plans to take Manley Spirits to the world. Where do you think we should go next?
That's a really good question, David. I think, working out where to go next really depends on where you see the most opportunity. So, if I were you, I would be kind of taking a survey of the world and looking at markets which immediately strike you as, having possibility. And then I'd sit down and actually work out what you think the size of the opportunity is in that market. So, you've got an MBA, you know how to calculate the size of your total addressable market. That's a really good place to start. So, working out how many people you think would want to buy your product in any market, or, alternatively, what slice of the market you think you could get if there were no competitors. I'd go about looking at things like income levels in the countries that you want to target. Obviously, you're selling something that's a premium product. So you want to sell to markets where people can afford what you are going to offer and be willing to pay a premium for it, so that you can do well with it. You also want to make sure that what you're offering matches the tastes of people in those countries. So obviously not all nationalities are as fond of spirits as, for example, people in the UK. So I'd be looking at the problem from different angles and really getting a sense on each of those things, on the size of the market, on people's tastes and on whether they can pay.
We found each market is quite different. What techniques would you give us to navigate each market?
Well, look, there is no substitute for spending time on the ground, obviously. There's no better way to get to know somewhere than to actually go and be there. But obviously, when you're running a business back here and you've got other commitments across a couple of markets, that can become difficult. You can't go off and spend 6 months living in a new place to find out about it. As a very preliminary step, you can go and do your research. I like to talk to people about opening a culture file. So let's say you wanted to go and sell to Taiwan, for example, and you didn't know anything about Taiwan. You could get to know Taiwan vicariously, if you like. You could go and find out what podcasts there were about Taiwan. You could go and read Taiwanese books. You could read novels about Taiwan. That sounds a little bit weird, but that will give you an insight into what the Taiwanese world mind is like. You can also form partnerships in the country that you're going to. So again, if you go to the Taiwan example, you could go and look for a partner in Taiwan who could actually help you negotiate the market.
Should we be making contact with Austrade and other government organisations here and overseas?
Oh, look, I think you can never make enough connections. So my advice when you're going global is that you talk to as many people as you can. So, if you're doing it in Australia, I'd suggest that you talk to Austrade and you talk to your state trade department. And then I'd also go to the government agencies of the markets that you want to target. So, for the UK, you might have already gone and spoken to UK trade. If you're going somewhere else, Hong Kong has got a trade department, Singapore has got a trade department, pretty much all the major players have got trade departments here. So as well as talking to the Australian representatives, I'd be talking to their counterparts in Australia, and I'd be doing the same process in the market that you're targeting.
So, things to consider when navigating international markets. Work out the size of the opportunity in a new market. Look at income levels in countries you want to target. Make sure your offering matches the tastes of people in those countries. And, if you can, spend time on the ground and start making new contacts. Some great advice there from Cynthia Dearin. Each country and continent does business very differently. So understanding how to approach and then market yourself is critical. Look, I wish David and Vanessa all the best. If you're interested in exporting, don't forget our sister TV series, The Airport Economist, where you can catch up with all the episodes at theairporteconomist.com. Now to pillars of success, helping you build solid foundations for your small business. Nicola Moras is here with advice on digital marketing.
This week's pillar of success is all about changing your approach. Everyone is looking for a way to stand out and be seen in an effort to cut through the noise online. So I'm going to tell you how to increase the quality of what you are putting out into the online world. You can't afford to get swallowed up in the crowd because you look or sound the same, especially when you have a business profile to build. Marketing is all about invoking the know you, like you, and trust you feeling around everything that you do. And the only way to do that is by being authentically you. So everything you post should help people to get to know you as someone who cares and who is genuine. This will help them to like you. Now, when you are consistently showing up, sharing yourself and your knowledge genuinely, your followers will trust you. Trust can be slow to build and fast to lose. In order for someone to trust you, they need to see a consistent version of you everywhere they come across you. Your voice needs to be the same, your message needs to be consistent, and your tone the same. Most of all, you need to show that you walk your talk, which means that you're living and breathing the philosophies that you're preaching.
Still to come, the fast food restaurant that's all about the experience, not just the burger.
Hi, my name is Taavet Hinrikis. I'm the co-founder and chairman of Transferwise. My first tip would be, it's most exciting to build a global business and to have a product which is 10 times better. Global problems are the most exciting to solve, and if you have a product which is 10 times better, like Skype was in telecommunication or Transferwise in money transfer, it's really fun. Second tip, you really need to surround yourself with an excellent team. There's only so much you can do on your own. At one point, I was spending about 40% of my time hiring people in the team. And now we have a team of 1,300 people. We started with just me and my co-founder 7 years ago. Third tip, be really smart about how you spend your money, especially when it comes to banking products. Banks are especially known for overcharging you and underserving you. Transferwise is a great alternative in money transfer, but in every vertical of banking, you can find a better product which is cheaper, faster, and better than a bank. So in summary, my 3 top tips would be about building a global product which is 10 times better, hiring a great team around yourself, and being smart where you spend your money, especially with banking products.
Now to a business that's taken inspiration from the streets of Bondi and brought it to the suburbs. Milky Lane dishes up burgers and shakes that make my cholesterol levels peak just by looking at them. But it's a social media sensation, not just a place to grab a quick burger. Let's hear from one of the founders behind this very unique concept.
We opened 2.5 years ago, and it was started by 4 guys from Bondi who wanted to create an experience that wasn't already existing in Bondi. So we wanted to include burgers, cocktails, crazy desserts, and blend it all together with hip-hop music and graffiti on the wall, somewhere that everybody's welcome. So that's what we did. We've been in Bondi now for probably the last 15 years. Each one of us have different backgrounds and have traveled the world, and we decided to bring a bit of flavor from all our experiences and put it all into one place. So once we came up with a concept, it was a fairly quick turnaround. I think we turned from the existing restaurant to what Milky Lane is today over in about 4 weeks. And during that time, we had amazing designers work with us, graffiti artists work with us, and a lot of our own input came into building Milky Lane as what you see it today. The passion behind Milky Lane comes from the 4 partners. So we have 2 partners who have been chefs for the last 15, 20 years. They've actually been private chefs and tour chefs for the likes of Pink, Madonna, a number of celebrities that they've been on tour with. So they've been cooking all around the world and they love what they do, and they put a lot of the creation and innovation in behind our food. And then you have Christian, who is just an absolute guru at social media and driving the brand online. And then I come in and try and steer the direction of the ship and make sure that, we execute what we say we will do. The money is generally managed by myself. Within any growing business, some days can be a challenge, but ultimately we've created a model that we're rolling out. So it's a lot of pressure to ensure that it works, because what we say, we have to execute, and not just in our business, but we actually sell franchises. So the franchise model has to be successful, because we now have 2 models. We sell burgers to our customers, and then we also sell our model to our franchisees. Initially, when we started, we wanted to roll out a corporate model. The aim was open stores, own the stores by ourselves. However, it's not cheap to open a store. A store can cost, let's say, between $500,000 and $1 million to open. So having that capital was a challenge, and therefore we decided to look into the franchise model. It made sense. It's been done in our industry multiple times, and it's been done extremely successfully. So therefore we decided, the best idea is to roll out a franchise model, but also own some corporate stores along the way, which is what we're doing. The most enjoyable part of running your own business is you can think of a crazy idea, and the next day it can be on national TV and go, this is what we've done. This is what we thought of, and this is what we've done. It comes with some stresses and some pressures, but ultimately, it's when it works, it's the ultimate success, and it's so enjoyable when it does. Our customers value the experience. That's it. It's more than just having a burger. At the end of the day, you come into Milky Lane and you can have an experience, and that's what we sell. It's not just about the burger. It's about uploading that photo, having all your friends like that photo, having the hip-hop playing, and we're not talking just current hip-hop. We're talking 90s hip-hop. We're talking, 2000s. We're talking old school hits where you'll sing along to. Having a cocktail that was made out of, one of your favorite childhood memories. That's what we do. We create concepts and experiences, and that's what our customers love. My top tip for anybody who's thinking about giving it a go is go for it. Calculate what you need to do. Don't remortgage your house just yet, but give it a go. Even if, you're starting a business in the evenings when you get back from work, go for it. It's never been easier to start a business than what it is today.
There really has never been a better time to be in small business. I always remind people our economy is in pretty good shape. We're well into a record 27th consecutive year of positive economic growth. So, if you've got a business idea, go for it, like Peter says. Coming up, we ask small business owners what's really on their mind. Find out next. It's time for a brand new segment here on Kochie's Business Builders. We're calling it Word on the Street. It will hopefully answer some of your biggest questions. This week, we asked small business owners what the best advice they've ever received was.
Best advice I've ever received, never give up, keep going, right to the end.
Best advice was to keep going. And I totally agree with that now.
Customers first. We're a customer-first brand, and our product was designed around customers. Without customers, you don't have a business, in my opinion.
The best advice I've ever received in terms of running your business is take your time. Every cent matters, and have fun.
Time now for Ask Kochie, where you send me in a question, I do my best to answer it.
Hi, I'm Angela and I run a florist business, Bespoke Botanics, from a home studio. Insurance can be tricky for us. During our busy season, we do a lot of event work where we hire freelancers to help support us. When I need to call my insurance provider to increase the premium to cover that, then I need to ring them back post the event. It gets time consuming and I may also forget to do it. I'd love to know if there's a better solution for a small business like me that fluctuates with freelancers. Kochie, I can't wait to hear your advice.
I'll be answering it on Facebook Live every Tuesday at 12:30 Eastern, so don't miss it. And coming up next week, the entrepreneur that spotted a gap in the cafe space and really capitalised. The founder of Husky Cup shares his story. And don't forget, you can catch up on this episode and plenty more at kochiesbusinessbuilders.com.au.